Hi everybody, my name is Letiredd. Mainly create content around Star Citizen, and today we are doing another react to the IAE show episode 3. I heard something about master modes in today's episode. I haven't watched it because I was busy eating turkey all day long. I am hit by the itis hard, so hard. But with that being said, we are going to jump right into this react. I hope all of you had a great turkey day. Oopsies, making noise. And yeah, let's see what Jared and fam have to say. Yeah, let me make sure I got all that. Let's go.
Welcome back to the show floor.
The Drake Vulture enjoys a unique place in the galaxy as one of the only widely available vehicles for space salvage on the market today. With strong revenue-earning potential for pilots and much greater flexibility than the larger Reclaimer from Aegis, the Vulture uses its popular twin-arm shape to excel at both hull scraping and structural salvage, generating up to 25 SCU of recycled material composite in its buffer and cargo grids combined, whose current market value contends with that of popular commodity Quantanium, but without the associated dangers included with traditional mining. Ultimately, the Drake Vulture remains a satisfying and straightforward option for those looking to fund their further adventures in the verse, and can always be found on the IAE show floor for those interested in learning more.
Welcome back to the IAE show. On today's episode, we explore mastering flight with Rich Tyra, John Crew, and Jared Huckabee. It's Thanksgiving on Earth.
I am so worried about what we're going to learn with master modes. So worried. And Vulture. Yeah, Vulture is the second or third ship I bought IRL. Because it's such a good moneymaker. It really is. But alright, let's keep going.
So we give thanks to the best ship manufacturer in the verse, Drake. I said it and I meant it. Nobody owns me. It's the IAE show, and it starts right now.
Okay, we're back. Part 3, final part of our conversation about life of spaceships in Star Citizen, and it's time to address the Idris in the room here, master modes. We'd been talking about master modes for quite some time. We've been building it up as the big savior of the spaceship combat experience. It released to mixed reviews at times.
No. Mainly negative. If you take into account the part of the community that doesn't play for the ship play, most of the flying community was not happy with master modes. And then we were not all unhappy about the same things though. I mainly, and I'm unhappy with the lack of speed, with the fact that changing between modes gives players a huge advantage when they're camping and waiting for you at an OM or something like that. Those are my main problems with master modes. Now, other people, their issues are, they go further than that. They have bigger problems with it. The PvP community has different problems with it. They don't like the fact that they, have to get so close for combat now, and that the combat speeds have dropped. Let's be real here, CIG, and your mixed is, for us, mostly negative. And I can understand them spinning it a little bit, but if what Jared just said, that master modes are supposed to be the big savior, you better have something good for us right now. Now, that being said, I will say that with 24.3, the less drag now on the flight model feels better. It gives you more of an impression of speed, especially when you get low to the ground. Now, I still have problems with it. A lot of people who look at Star Citizen from the outside looking in wonder where physics went. They've clearly gone out the window. There's some logical explanations for why we can do certain tricks, especially us low flyers on low atmosphere, low gravity moons that maybe people aren't picking up on. But on certain planets where the air is supposed to be thicker and the gravity heavier, we can still get away with some crazy shit. But that makes the game fun. And I just want to emphasize the word game. And this isn't a full space sim. It's still a game. So, that being said, let's dive in and, be open to what CIG has to say about master modes.
Some people are for it, some people are less than for it. We'll just say that kindly. I want to talk about what our plan is, what our vision is. Where are we going with this? What is the plan moving forward with master modes? And I'm just going to take off and leave you two here. Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Right. I think the big thing around master modes is that it's never was designed to be a static piece of development. We always wanted to make sure that we were adding in new systems as they came along that then influenced those design decisions that we made at the time. And I think two big pieces of feature work that we're going to be bringing to Star Citizen that's going to have a drastic change on how we implement master modes is going to be crafting and quantum boost. So right now with master modes itself, we have obviously the two master modes, SCM and NAV. A big thing is that we're going to actually be demoting or converting those modes from master modes to operator modes. What that inherently means is that we're still going to have a mode that is dedicated to fighting and having combat. There is going to be a mode that's dedicated to your quantum. But we're going to be removing some of the fail-safe restrictions, yes, that had when you're switching between these modes. We're going to be moving towards one cohesive speed between all operator modes. That speed is going to be more akin to what you'd imagine SCM speeds are now, but there's two big, huge caveats that come into that. First off is crafting. So crafting will allow you to upgrade your ship.
Okay, I think I know where this is heading, and there's a lot to dissect here. I almost would need to go back to see what you said, but okay. There's going to be operator modes. One of the things I was hoping he was about to say is we're going to remove the need to be in nav mode in order to have the full beans. It's kind of sounds like that, but the SCM, I don't know, it's a little confusing. I'm going to have to rewatch this, but I don't know. First listen, not convinced right off the bat. Let's see what else he has to say, and then we'll go back if we need to.
Ship and to tier 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if you want to have combat at higher speeds, if you have a tier 5 ship and you have the best thrusters and you've specialized, you've bought an interceptor ship, that will be more applicable to those types of ships. So that gives people options to choose, like I want to have this type of gameplay versus this type of gameplay. Having that cohesive, unified speed, the one thing that we really need to address is this kind of like nav flight mode that is kind of, it sits in this very odd position in terms of you get out of an LZ and you're flying up to the space station, in atmosphere your speed is really closer to SCM speeds anyway. You're not flying at 1,000 meters a second. You can pick up start a bounty hunter mission now, be sent to another planet, and then the closest quantum point to that POI might be 500 kilometers away. And that means that as we add more dense POIs, that's going to only exacerbate this situation because we can't have quantum markers everywhere. And when we start to add more space exploration and more missions towards the different guilds that we're operating on, where you're having to go into deep space and go into these large distances, you don't want to be in a position where that's taking such a huge amount of time. We want you to be spending more time doing the mission than flying there. This is where quantum boost comes in. Now, the way that quantum boost works is it connects your flight speeds to your quantum travel. So quantum travel is for flying millions of kilometers away when you have a specific quantum marker that you're flying towards. Then you've got your flight speeds, which should be, say sub 20 kilometers, where you're flying around, exploring on the planet, or fighting at a POI, or doing a bounty hunting. But anywhere above that, we want to kind of accelerate that process of that navigation. And quantum boost goes all the way up to your top speed of SCM, or top speed of our flight mode, your current nav mode, all the way up to essentially a tenth of quantum travel speed. You have this spectrum of speeds that allow you to navigate the large spaces in our game, but also then still stay true to some of the intentions that we delivered with master modes.
Master modes we talked a lot about, and the combat side.
Okay, so one of the things I want to point out is he started to mention this and then completely went away from it, which was crafting. And I think what he meant by that is because we're going to be crafting ships, we're going to be crafting components, we're going to be crafting components with different tiers depending on the materials and stuff like that. They'll have different bonuses, perks to, you know, crafting them a certain way. He completely went away from that. And what he probably meant to say is those components are going to have a large influence on your speeds. Now, I do want to talk about what he just talked about with the quantum boost, which is interesting, and it's actually nice that they took into account the fact that, yeah, it's really great that they created such a huge game with so much vastness and space, but they didn't really think through players getting around that stuff. I completely understand what he's saying about not having quantum points everywhere because they don't want people to constantly out of atmosphere, back in atmosphere, out of atmosphere, back in atmosphere. I can understand that. So then this idea of boosting speeds across large distances so that you're flying faster makes a lot of sense, but he's not saying that they're going to apply that to like combat. And I can understand that to a certain extent. But what I do hope, to go back to what he said a little earlier as well, is they're going to be moving speeds up. Now, he said speeds to refer to SCM. I think he meant nav. I hope that's what he meant. Because if we were comparing to gun operator mode speeds, it's terrible. It's shit. Even with boost. So, yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to make that point that I think he was going there with the crafting argument and bringing up that point. He didn't get there. Maybe it'll be brought up in a second. I don't know. May I ask you your opinion on which you find a better choice, Ironclad or Ironclad Assault? Yes, Hawk. And what's up, Banshee? I would say obviously it depends on what you want to do with it. If you're trying to run pure cargo and you're not too worried about having a crew with you, I'd say Ironclad. If you want to use the Ironclad for more than just cargo and it fits a specific role within your org, or it may, unfortunately we don't know yet, but it may fill a specific role within certain missions down the line. I'd say if you want more versatility, maybe go for the Assault. If you want a pure cargo hauler, basic Ironclad. The Ironclad is a ship that I don't know how to feel about. I really like the idea, like the design. I don't know exactly how it'll fit in, but my idea is it'll be incredibly valuable as a heavy hauler that you can actually land on planet surfaces in order to get materials from outposts and stuff like that, and land bases, which the Hull series, anything above a Hull, Hull C and above, you will not be able to do that. Let's continue on with this Master Modes conversation because it's very interesting. I'm very curious.
Broadly staying the same. The nav side that was the limiting factor, we often said, like, it's too fast, but not fast enough. The amount of times we watch new players go into nav, go towards a station, and then we'd be sat there going, they've not stopped in time. So Quantum Boost was always supposed to be that bridge gap, and without it, we were left with this sort of nav mode that didn't quite do what we wanted. And it also, because it's quantum and it's creating a bubble around your ship, allows us less friction in the traversal, because you go in quantum, you come out quantum, you don't have to apply all this G-force.
The rules of physics
are different because you're not physically hurtling at that speed, you're wrapping a bubble of time and space around yourself. So you come out, you can stop dead, you're not having that expanse moment where you're all being ripped apart from the G-force. So you see that space station coming towards you, you stop, you stop.
The one limitation that we are retaining is the fact that you can't have your quantum drive enabled and also your shields. And ultimately...
Thank you. That I made that point earlier. It's the one thing that really sets me off in Master Modes because I think it's incredibly punitive to new players. And I just want to make a comment on what he said earlier about how many times do we see new players hit nav mode and go splash into the side of a A station? Yeah, of course, but that's a part of the learning curve. If you're going to make it so that people can't do stupid things, then it's not fun anymore. Oh, tiny second. Thank you for. Of course, no worries. Yeah, I don't think weapons in Quantum will be a thing. I think shields in Quantum need to be a thing. So that's what I'm hoping he's going to say right now.
That's a binary decision. Operator modes will start off as the default configuration that we've set in terms of the controls, in terms of the MFDs and what you're casting onto your HUD, in terms of your resource network presets. But that doesn't stop you from then going in and customizing it. We're providing an initial, hey, this is what we think is a good default setting. But then it's up to the players then to customize what they want on their cast, what they want on the MFDs, and then they have options to them. And they shouldn't have this constant switching modes to gain access to certain operator modes. You know, we're removing some of that friction.
And through all of this, because that binary distinction is between modes, you have to be in this mode or this mode, and there's all these very strict rules between those modes. You keep your weapons through all this. So this now becomes a more tactical decision in combat. But if you need that sudden burst of speed, either to get away from something or to catch up to something, you make the choice. You sacrifice your shields, certainly, but you can still bring your weapons to bear instead of get there, and the second you're out.
And ultimately, that is underpinned by your resource network engineering. So if you're on a single-seater ship, that's obviously at the pilot's behest. But also, if you're on a larger multi-crew ship, you can then use the engineering terminal to be able to have those presets available to you.
And through the use of crafting to improve your components and, of course, your presets and quantum boost, rather, you can get up to speeds that are approaching the current nav speed and stuff like that. So we're not taking that speed away. We're defaulting everything to a speed that is closer to today's SCM.
Yeah.
And then
okay, actually, I'm not liking this just because of what they just said. So you'll still be able to go fast, but by default you'll be going slower. And maybe I'm misunderstanding this, but I wouldn't know. I don't want that. And yeah, Stavo, I mean, that's part of learning. Stavo, the first time you let me fly your Hull C, I slammed right into you because I set myself smack dab on you and then was talking to chat. And by the time I turned around to slow down, it was too late. I wanted to see your Hull C from really up close. And I really did. No, but I mean, but that's part of the learning curve. Don't take that away from us. A, it creates hilarious situations. B, when you do it 2-3 times, you learn real fast from then on to seriously pay attention to your speed because it's so punitive. I think it's fine. And if they have players that rage quit over that, you could potentially make the argument that those aren't necessarily the type of players you'd want anyways, because they're narrow, their window of concentration and how would you put that? Interest is very narrow, and this is a big space game, and you don't want that. So I don't know. Yeah, okay. Apparently, yes, you will maintain your weapons, but you'll sacrifice your shield. I don't see how that makes... I feel like that's the opposite of what we should be doing. Remove access to weapons, increase shields, or have shields at least while you're flying around. But now I feel like the situation will become... Someone will be trying to get away, and unless they have a rear gunner in a turret, they're just going to die. Because the other person chasing will be able to remove their shields, go quicker to catch you, and still have power to weapons. But we're not even going to get that, Stavo. From what I'm understanding, we're going to get a default speed that'll be, I'm just going to call it slow, because for me, anything that's going to be under 500 meters per second is slow. But it doesn't matter. They're defaulting the speeds down. And now you'll be switching between whether you want to go faster or have shields. Now, if I misunderstood that, please correct me. We can even go back and rewatch it. But I do not want something. I don't know. I'm sorry. It's not even about wanting. I just don't. I mean, yeah, true. I don't want it, but I'm trying to understand the logic. How is it better to have weapons constantly available and have to sacrifice either your speed or your shields? There's going to be so many more deaths. How, you won't be able to get away. How? Because the second you turn to run, unless you're in a much faster ship than who you're fighting, they're going to catch you and still be blasting at you. Am I misunderstanding this? Did I get this wrong? Did I have too much turkey? Is the tryptophan hitting me too hard today? I don't understand. Okay, let's just keep watching.
Giving the player choices in how and when they can get up to that speed without completely disabling everything.
I mean, ultimately, it allows us to keep the default. We're trying to move towards a balance across the game where you can start off easier and it gets harder. So we want the default to be open and compatible to lots of players, but then as you start to specialize and it becomes hard to master and you start to work in the different avenues of different professions that you like, that's where you can start to customize your ship. And I think there's a key takeaway or a key point to also make is that if you don't want to craft, if you don't want to go down that route because you just want to shoot ships and be a combat pilot, or you just want to be a miner or a space trucker, there's nothing wrong with that. You can still gain access to this because player trading is going to be something that allows players to gain access to these components and ships without having to go through some of the grind that they have, and obviously they're now reaping the benefits of that. But you have lots of choice.
Obviously, there isn't one prototypical Star Citizen player. Developing a system that's going to please everybody is an impossible task. We can only work towards our goals and our vision for what we want this to be, and hope it applies to as many people as possible. What I like about this is that you can never go wrong with putting the choice in the player's hands. At any given situation.
Yes, you can, Jared. You absolutely can.
When you're going to want your speed, when you're going to want your shields, you'll always have your weapons from now on. So like this, just put those choices in the player's hands and let them let them decide for themselves. It's one of those things unique about Star Citizen is that we get to develop this, and then we don't have to wonder. We can put it into players' hands and get that feedback immediately, and then take it in. I think there's a real chance for this to be the spaceship experience we've been working towards this whole time.
I think the big thing to take away from all the things that we've discussed is that none of these things are designed or implemented in isolation. And where we're trying to go is that, you know, when we talk about combat that is, say, not as fast as it was in previous updates, hopefully people understand we're doing that not just because we don't like fast combat, it's because we want to give players options to gain fast combat or gain slower combat, depending on what choices they make with crafting or their purchases. Then it's on a scenario where, you know, capital warfare is, you know, you need to be able to use precision targeting, and that's why we developed that feature so that you can have good subcomponent targeting. And I think when you start to see some of this bigger picture come together, and you start to see all of these individual pieces connect, you might not agree with it, and there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. But ultimately, that's what we're trying to do. That's how we're trying to connect all these pieces together to create this experience that ultimately Chris is the one that is setting that vision, and we're trying to execute on that vision for Chris. And that is what we're trying to work towards, and hopefully people can start to see some of these pieces connect together and why some of these decisions have been made. And, you know, and hopefully...
Yeah, I can understand them saying that because they have an idea, they know what's going to be coming, they know what they're trying to implement, so it probably makes sense in their head. But for us right now, in this discombobulated, piecemealed thing we have, it's not obvious at all. Yeah, and you know, putting choices that people, not everybody know. I don't know. I don't even want to go down that road. Glossing over that one. It hurts my heart to see a game like this wait when the capital ships they will come. I feel like there's going to be a lot of snails. Yeah. To medium ships, how they're going to dodge the shots from capital ships. That's a very good point. If you're trying to take all the scale of ships from the smallest fighter snub to the largest cargo hauler or capital class ship, You can't just be like, okay, we're going to squish the speeds down together. No. The small, maneuverable, nimble, agile ships need to be quick. And the big, heavy, gargantuan capital ships need to be slow. That's just basic. I think I'm really having way too much for the player to work. And yeah, players are going to probably get more frustrated than anything else, let's be honest. Because, you know, I can understand how Master Modes was great for haulers. I can understand how it was great for players like that. But it was not great for PvP. Did it make the space combat get much closer? Yes, absolutely. But you don't have to nerf speeds to do that. You just have to nerf weapon distance. They'll find their balance. They have time. 1.0 is nowhere near. They're hoping the players are going to make most of the systems and players loops to function. Exactly. That's not going to work either. You're going to still need to have stores where basic or good enough components are sold. You know, unless they're thinking like WoW market, you know, like going on the trade market and you see everybody's stuff, but then that depends on a really active player base. How are they going to implement that market? Is it going to be across all servers? Is it going to be per shard, you know, whatever servers are connected to that shard for Pyro and Stanton or whatever it may be in the future? There's ship chassis upgrades are not equivalent to component upgrades. Yes, sure. But then you're just going to be going to buy ships from players and not from a store. You won't be buying their default. You'll be buying ships from players because that'll be way more interesting, especially if you know somebody who has the higher tier stuff. I mean, if you're going after with logic, I think the chassis upgrade should probably affect more maneuverability and rigidity, resistance, ability to tank. And components should make you faster, like engines.
They enjoy it, ultimately, at the end of the day.
So Rich, John, thank you so much for taking the time to share this vision of Star Citizen's spaceship gameplay. I think there's no better place to do that than IAE, a celebration of all spacecraft and vehicles in Star Citizen. It's come to my attention that the last two parts, when I've attempted to move us on to our next topic, folks have been changing the channel. So I don't want you to do that here. Up next, I'm going to talk directly with John Crew and explain to him my true vision for the spaceship Jalopy once and for all.
Change the channel.
Hey, you! Yeah, you! Are you a DIY security super fan? Have you seen every Garmin Humble live stream and special? Well, you haven't seen this. It's gonna blow your mind.
Holy shit. I was not expecting that. Holy crap. Talk about now time for something completely different. Jesus Christ. All right, what's going on here?
Sign up for all the casualties, catches, and kills. Too hot for open comms. Too intense. Too brutal. Too spicy for Spectrum.
When things get dicey, go extra spicy.
Subscribe now.
The fuck did we just watch? What the hell was that? Jesus Christ. I was just not ready. No. Threw me right off. Well done, kids.
Welcome back to another episode of Quantum Questions, where we take a CIG developer, put them on the hot seat, and make them answer as many questions as they can in under 2 minutes. Joining us on the show this week, the happiest person at CIG, Mr. John Crew. John, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Having a great day.
That's good to hear. Ben got 15 questions in 2 minutes. How many do you think you're going to get?
Oh, let's go for 16.
All right, so let's put 2 minutes on the clock and begin. Who are you and what do you do?
My name's John Crew. I'm the vehicle director at CIG.
You're in a desert walking along in the sand when all of a sudden you look down and you see a tortoise. It's crawling towards you. Why did you nerf the Corsair?
It was massively outperforming all other ships in the game. It had 40% of the kills overall just by itself, so it needed bringing down a touch. The current reduction in its efficiency is not going to be the final way. We want to do a bit more with it.
What's the drama with the Polaris torpedo tubes?
It's not clear that they actually rotate and feed from the bottom and skirt around the elevator shaft.
Is that what they really do?
That's what they do in the animation.
Where is my Crusader Starliner?
It's going to be after 1.0.
Will you ever make the Rock DS good?
Yes, so we want to enclose both players, whether they're going to be side by side or line astern, still to be decided.
Tell us what one of the ships from the tease at CitizenCon was.
It's a variant of one of the ones we teased last year.
Ooh. What can you tell us about Endeavor modules?
All still planned, but after 1.0.
Why do you hate Drake ships?
I don't hate Drake ships.
Well, why is Drake the best manufacturer?
Drake's a great manufacturer, rugged, industrial, and nicely priced.
And what's the best Drake ship?
The Cutter, obviously.
All right, so today is Drake Day. Why should everyone go get a Drake ship?
Can I ask you a question, Jared?
Sure.
Do you ever feel like you're a soulless marketing puppet?
He does. He does. We can see it in his eyes. He does.
What's the deal with the mule?
Mule's still waiting for a little feature to allow you to remotely disconnect items from pilot seat. This is the same thing we need for the Prospector and the Mole as well, to remotely detach the mining sacks.
What's the deal with that double-engine Hornet we saw in the Squadron playthrough?
That's a cool special little variant used by Squadron 42.
What's it called?
It's the F7X.
Ooh. Will that ever come to the Persistent Universe?
It might do.
What about the updated Vandal ships from Squadron?
They will as well, but most likely after Squadron ships.
Can you confirm that the Mirai Guardian is coming to Alpha 4.0?
Yes.
Tell us something you're not supposed to tell us.
Ironclad's in production right now.
Why wouldn't you make my jalopy? Oh, at a time.
Wait. A jalopy is a dilapidated ship or vehicle that's been left around for many, many years. It most likely does not fly. I hate this man.
I want an F7X.
This will be the day. I'll stand up and say, we need a ship without all that drip. A scrappy wreck, still covered in dreck, and one you can't buy that won't even fly. Jalopy.
He asks every day. I just say no way. When it's from him, the chances are slim. Truth be told, and I'll tell you why this is not.
Jalopy is bold.
Who wants jalopy? Ugh.
I want jalopy. No one wants this thing but me.
Your backer dollar is hard at work. Just a reminder.
Signing off.
You did. You did help fund Bert and Ernie. How does that feel? You helped fund Bert and Ernie and the most expensive work office you've ever seen. That even makes Disney Imagineers go, damn. And yet we're still waiting on our game. I hate that I kind of liked the damn Muppets. Don't you dare talk about that. We will not talk about the ship that should not be named. Endeavor after 1.0. Okay. What was the other one after 1.0? Oh, yeah, the Starliner. That's kind of unfortunate. But I mean, yeah, but those are expensive. The Muppets cost a lot of money. I'm not joking. Like those are a few grand each. It's at least, you know, a couple Krakens per Muppet. Maybe more like 2890s. We're going to talk of money is now going to be referred to in ships. That's like an Aurora, and then that's like 2 Auroras, and then a Corsair, and then you know, yeah. Anyways, all right. Well, that was interesting. My final thoughts on what we saw: Molasses Master Modes. They got to do better. Exactly. Attack Cat gets it. Fantastic. Anyways. Really? Is that it? Okay, everybody. Let's all go to Vegas. We'll all bet on red. You know. And then we should be able to buy 69,420 Idrises. Right? It's like the South Park episode. We won. Bet again. No. Damn it. And that's how they lost their game. But anyways, so okay, final thoughts are they really need to do better on Master Molasses operator modes, whatever they're going to call it. I don't think it's fair to lower the skill ceiling in this because some newbies crash into shit. I was not a newbie still crashing into shit, and I felt like it was just normal. I don't know. The master modes one annoys me. Everything else is fine. But that master mode's like I too many questions. Too many questions. I mean, and how complex is the crafting going to be, and how involved is it going to be if they really expect players to be pumping out that many ships? Like, most of us have jobs and lives and families and shit to do. So how is that going to work? As much as we love this game, we can't be playing this 24/7. So how is it going to work if there's no players available to sell you that except for you? That's not true. You have kitties to take care of and grandmas to call. You have other things to do as well. So with almost unlimited shielding. And yeah, that's kind of a problem. I don't like this idea of having constant access to weapons. That seriously bothers me. I think that it should be a trade-off between shield and weapons and not a trade-off between speed and shields with constantly having access to weapons. I feel like that's going to create more problems than it's going to solve. Yes, I can say I think we all need the jalopy in our lives. Now, was it worth the song and dance with expensive Muppets? No, probably not. Did I enjoy it? Yes. Damn it. But yeah, a lot to talk about with what they went over in Master Modes. I'm gonna have to rewatch it again, and I may add something to the end of this react for YouTube. We'll see, but a lot to unpack there. And I don't know if that's necessarily the right direction to head into. Like I said, I'll say it one last time. I think it should be a trade-off between shield and weapons, not speed or shields. I think you should always have the speed at your disposal. I feel like cutting the speed is kind of like a easy cheat to get players to get closer to each other. You can already do that with the weapon distance, and then people can use their brains and learn how to slow down. I'm all for raising standards, not lowering them. Do not lower standards more than we have to, or more than we already have. So, with that being said, thank you everybody for joining this react. It was a tryptophan-fueled react, so energy was maybe a little lower than usual. Although that being said, my name is Letiredd, so don't expect it to ever be, mega exciting. But thanks everybody for joining. I hope you enjoyed. Yeah, I'll get this up hopefully tomorrow morning for the YouTubes. And yeah, if you made it this far, please consider leaving a like and subscribe. It greatly helps us out. And we are almost at 100 subs on YouTube. So thank you very much, everybody. For you Twitchies, don't go anywhere. We're going to do marbles next. And for YouTubes, we'll see you next time.